Hey everybody, it's the Bald Man once again, and I'm here to talk about a few things. One of the things we're going to talk about is the long run to the short run. Back to the long run, this is without economic growth or contraction or anything. Then we will actually talk about economic growth. Finally, we'll talk about economic contractions and what happens when all of this occurs. Let's start with the long run to the short run, back to the long run. Let us suppose that the government decides to cut income taxes by 20%. What is that going to cause to happen? How is that going to affect supply or demand? Well, it's going to affect aggregate demand because that's going to give consumers 20% more money, well, 20% more of their money to spend. And of course, we love to spend, so that will drive aggregate demand up. And as you can see, this gives us a new higher price point, right? A new higher price point and a new level of output. Inflation is a problem we do not like. And then our economy is overextended, so we have a lot of people working, and our natural rate of unemployment is 5%, so we're probably below 5%, and that is not good for the economy either. So inflation is going to cause prices to go up, including prices of resources. And remember, people are resources too. We're going to demand higher wages because inflation is causing prices to go up. So our wages are losing, or real wages are decreasing. So we're going to demand higher wages. Well, that's going to cause a decrease in aggregate supply as resources become more expensive. So aggregate supply will decrease as a result, and this brings us back to full employment at a new higher price level. Right? So this is what happens when the government chooses not to pursue any kind of fiscal policy action to correct an overextended economy. Aggregate supply will decrease because resource prices will be high, and as a result, we will go back to long-run equilibrium, but at a new higher price point. What were to happen, though, if the government were to increase our income taxes by 20%? Well, that means we have 20% less money to spend. Aggregate demand would decrease, and you can see here clearly we have a new lower price point, and we are in the recessionary side of the LRAS. Both, we may like lower prices, but we do not like high unemployment. And again, this time, the government is not going to pursue any kind of fiscal policy action to try to fix this negative economy, right? We're in a recession. The government is washing its hands, and they're just basically saying market forces will correct this. So how will market forces correct this particular problem? Well, prices are lower. People are out of work. And remember, these models are perfectly flexible. So we will be willing to work for less money. Prices of other resources are decreasing. So that's going to make it easier for businesses to increase aggregate supply. As a result, we now are at a new price level, new lower price level, and we are back to full employment because business has increased aggregate supply because of the new lower wages and resource prices. So in a nutshell, guys, this is how the economy would fix itself without any kind of government interference, nothing having to do with fiscal contractionary or expansionary fiscal policy. This is how the economy would fix itself. All right, so now let's talk about economic growth. So here we have this new graph, right? And let's let's come up with a new scenario. In this particular case, somebody has invented a new computer chip that doubles productivity of all factories around the United States. So what is going to happen? Well, productivity is a shifter of aggregate supply, and that would cause aggregate supply to increase because now we're twice as productive as we were before. And we are now at a new price level, and our output has grown. But guys, I mentioned a new computer chip has increased productivity. Productivity is a shifter of aggregate supply, but technology is a shifter of long-run aggregate supply. So now we have new, better technology. We're not going to get rid of it, guys. We're going to keep those chips in those computers so our factories can be as efficient as possible. And in the short run, this is what's going to happen, right? We just saw in the short run, aggregate supply would increase, bringing down price levels and bringing our output up. But in the long run, the new lower price levels, so our long run aggregate supply would shift as well. And now we have to label this YF1, guys, not Y1, because YF1 means we're at full employment. If you label this Y1, our economy has shifted to the right and has grown as a result of new increased productivity in the workforce. All right. If you have any questions about this particular explanation, guys, again, feel free to send me a message on Remind or drop a comment down below. Now, let's move on to economic contractions. All right. Now, this one will not be as pleasant as economic growth because we do not want our economy to shrink down to size. We want it to keep growing. But suppose something like this happens. It's been 3 years, and we've had geologists all over the world tell us that they have found no new oil deposits anywhere, which means we are running out of oil. What would that cause to happen? Well, oil is one of our most precious natural resources, and now there's less of it to go around, so our supply would decrease, bringing price levels higher. And also, you can see by this level of output, we're in a recession. Higher price level, higher unemployment. What is this called? This is called stagflation. Probably the worst economic condition that you could live under. So we don't like this. How is this going to fix itself? Because once again, the government has said they are not going to get involved. They are not going to implement any kind of fiscal policy action to fix this. So if there's not going to be any fiscal policy action to try to fix this economy, what is going to happen? Well, we're going to have to accept the fact that oil is not coming back. And long run, our long run aggregate supply will shift to the left, and we are back at full employment, but at new higher prices, and our economy is noticeably smaller than before. So once again, guys, if the government doesn't get involved and doesn't implement fiscal policy action, this is how the economy would self-correct itself. If you have any questions, any comments, please send me a message on Remind or drop a comment down below. Until next time.